In the unforgiving world of professional boxing, where every punch is a gamble and every round a lesson in pain, few stories shine brighter than that of Naoya Inoue. The Japanese sensation, now a four-division world champion, has carved his name into the stone tablet of modern boxing legends. With a resume that boasts absolute dominance across multiple weight classes, Inoue's rise has been swift, efficient, and, at times, seemingly effortless. His victories over elite opponents like Nonito Donaire, Omar Narvaez, Emmanuel Rodriguez, and Stephen Fulton have been celebrated as clinics of precision, power, and poise. To many fans and pundits, the toughest moment in Inoue's career came during his first clash with Donaire, a bout that tested his will, his chin, and his belief in himself. But what if the real test came much earlier? Before the lights of Madison Square Garden or the roaring crowds in Saitama. Before the world knew his name. Long before Donaire pushed Inoue to his limits, another man, far less known, nearly broke the young prodigy. On August 25, 2013, in just his fourth professional fight, a 20-year-old Inoue stepped into the ring against fellow Japanese fighter Ryoichi Taguchi. The stakes were local, but the implications were monumental. This wasn't just a fight for a regional title, it was a battle for legitimacy, for validation, and for Inoue's future in the sport. At that point, many saw Inoue as a prodigy destined for greatness, a young man whose amateur pedigree and early pro performances made him appear untouchable. Taguchi, however, had no intention of playing into that narrative. Taguchi, 6 years older, brought a record of 18 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw into the ring. Though he lacked big-name opponents on his resume, he had something else: toughness, resilience, and a deep understanding of how to survive in the professional ranks. Inoue was expected to dominate. After all, he had looked unstoppable in his first 3 bouts. But Taguchi had other plans. From the opening bell, it became evident that this wouldn't be a walk in the park. Inoue entered the ring with his usual aggressive energy, applying pressure, firing combinations, and looking to establish dominance early. But something strange happened. Taguchi didn't fold. He absorbed the shots, stayed composed, and fired back with clean, calculated counters. For the first time in his career, Inoue wasn't dictating everything. There's a saying in boxing, sometimes the scythe meets the stone. On that night, Inoue's relentless aggression met the immovable will of a seasoned fighter who refused to be another stepping stone. As the rounds progressed, the intensity only escalated. Inoue landed crisp hooks, fast jabs, and vicious uppercuts. But Taguchi endured it all, remaining upright and competitive. It became clear that this wasn't going to be a routine victory. It was a trial by fire. By the third round, the audience's expectations had shifted. They weren't witnessing a coronation. They were witnessing a war. Inoue still held a slight edge, but it was Taguchi's resolve that stole the crowd's admiration. He absorbed punishing shots without flinching and responded with sharp counters that kept Inoue honest. The young phenom had to adjust, think, and, most importantly, dig deep. Each round became a battle of wills. Inoue's youthful speed and power clashed with Taguchi's grit and veteran savvy. The exchanges were brutal. Both men showed remarkable stamina and bravery. Yet through it all, Inoue began to show something rare for a 20-year-old boxer: composure. He didn't panic. He didn't let frustration seep in. He adapted, kept working behind the jab, and picked his moments with increasing maturity. Taguchi, for his part, never backed down. Round after round, he kept coming forward, kept swinging, kept believing. His face bore the damage of the fight, but his spirit remained unbroken. The 9th round saw him still pressuring, still looking for his moment. And when the 10th and final round arrived, it was Taguchi who launched himself into the fray with a fury, finishing the fight as if he were the one chasing victory. Inoue won the bout by unanimous decision. The scorecards read 98-92, 98-93, and 97-94 in his favor. But the numbers didn't tell the whole story. The real victory wasn't just the Japanese title that now belonged to him. It was the invaluable education he'd just received. 10 rounds of sustained resistance from a tough and proud fighter had given Inoue more than his previous 3 blowout wins combined. He had learned how to deal with adversity, how to stay focused when things didn't go according to plan, and how to finish strong against a man who refused to quit. This fight would prove to be a crucial turning point in his young career. It hardened him. It exposed his vulnerabilities. And it prepared him for the wars that lay ahead. Just over a year later, Taguchi himself would go on to capture the WBA light flyweight world title, defeating Alberto Rossell in convincing fashion. He would defend that belt 7 times, cementing his own place in Japanese boxing history. In hindsight, the battle between him and Inoue wasn't just a stepping stone for the young prodigy, it was a showdown between 2 elite fighters destined for greatness. Fast forward to November 2019, when Inoue stepped into the ring to face Nonito Donaire in the final of the World Boxing Super Series. By now, Inoue was no longer the fresh-faced youngster. He was the monster, an undefeated knockout artist who had steamrolled through 3 weight classes. Donaire, once considered past his prime, was widely seen as a sentimental favorite but not a serious threat. That perception changed quickly. From the opening bell, the bout was electric. Inoue showcased his speed and precision, landing sharp combinations and testing the veteran's defenses. But unlike many of Inoue's past opponents, Donaire didn't wilt. In the second round, he cracked Inoue with a powerful right hand that clearly rattled him. For the first time in years, Inoue looked vulnerable as the fight wore on, the tempo never relented. Both men exchanged punishing blows in a high-stakes chess match. Inoue suffered a cut from a head clash that tested his focus. Donaire, meanwhile, rolled back the years, using his timing and power to keep the younger fighter off balance. The 8th and 9th rounds saw Donaire landing some of his best shots, including a thunderous right that rocked Inoue to his core. But champions aren't defined by how easily they win. They're defined by how they respond when the tide turns. Inoue answered with determination, recalibrating his attack, digging to the body, and relying on the lessons he'd learned years earlier. The grueling nature of the Donaire fight, like the one against Taguchi, demanded more than talent. It demanded heart. It demanded pain tolerance. It demanded resilience, and the 11th round, Inoue finally broke through, landing a crushing body shot that sent Donaire to the canvas. The Filipino veteran, tough as nails, got up and finished the fight. But the tide had turned decisively. Inoue closed the final rounds with authority, securing a unanimous decision victory with scores of 116-111, 114-113, and 117-109. The boxing world erupted in admiration. It was the kind of fight that turned skeptics into believers. A slugfest worthy of any era. Inoue's toughness had been questioned by some. That night, those doubts were buried. But for those who had followed his journey from the beginning, this performance wasn't surprising. They remembered the night he went 10 brutal rounds with Taguchi. They remembered the pain he endured and the growth that followed. That early trial by fire had prepared him for this exact moment. There's a thread that runs through the greatest fighters in history. It's not just speed, power, or even skill. It's the willingness to evolve in the fire of adversity. Inoue, still in his prime, has that thread woven deep into the fabric of his boxing identity. His career has been a steady climb, with each fight sharpening the blade, each opponent revealing something new. Taguchi was the first to make him bleed metaphorically. Donaire made him bleed literally. But both men revealed the same truth. Naoya Inoue is not just a knockout artist. He is a fighter in every sense of the word. Someone who can weather storms, adjust under fire, and still find the will to win. Inoue continues his march through the divisions, taking on all comers and pushing the limits of his greatness. It's easy to be hypnotized by the highlight reel knockouts and the pound-for-pound accolades. But the true essence of his brilliance lies in these grueling battles, the moments that tested his soul, not just his skills. Long before he became the monster, Naoya Inoue was a 20-year-old kid with a dream, standing across from a veteran who didn't believe in fairy tales. And on that hot August night in 2013, he earned not just a belt but the right to chase greatness. The journey since then has been decorated with world titles, big-name scalps, and worldwide acclaim. Yet it's worth remembering that the roots of greatness often grow in struggle. For Naoya Inoue, that first crucible came against Ryoichi Taguchi. Everything since has simply been the bloom of a fighter forged in fire.